Hello, and welcome to the Sweet Southern Sports Podcast, where we talk about SEC sports. Today, I'll be looking at the SEC Football Week 3 preview. So, first off, what happened last week in the SEC? Top 5 takeaways. First off, the Florida Gators were atrocious against USF. The Gators really struggled offensively to get any type of rhythm. Play calling seemed like a gigantic issue. Word came from Billy Napier, head coach there, that he's going to still keep the responsibilities of play calling, but an absolute shocker as number 13. Florida fell to USF at home. I actually had the opportunity to be in the stadium for the game. It was a really, really ugly sight. So that's the top thing. So trying to see will Florida be able to step up to the plate as they now go into at LSU this week. Next, you have Vandy destroys Virginia Tech. So Vandy was down quite a bit to Virginia Tech, and then all of a sudden scored 44 unanswered points. Literally, just like absolutely obliterated Virginia Tech. Pavia was looking fantastic on the road. So again, Vandy putting up a fight for the SEC was really cool to see. We'll see if they can cause some more upsets with some things to happen later on. Number 3, Alabama looked better. When it comes to it, they played a little UO Monroe team, but they looked much more energetic than the Florida State game. So now the question comes out: is Alabama a really good team that just came out extremely flat against Florida State? Was Florida State that good last week? Those are the kind of questions that are being asked now. But Alabama looked better, and things have calmed down a little bit in the Kalen DeBoer space. Just having them show up to play. Oklahoma had a big win over Michigan. That Oklahoma defense, then John Mateer and his offense looked really, really good. Really, Michigan had no answers against Oklahoma. It was a relatively still decent, low scoring game, but Oklahoma controlled literally the whole thing. So again, Oklahoma's a team to watch out for, but they did amazing. Mizzou over Kansas. So the Missouri Tigers had a fantastic day against Kansas. I think that was a big win for them. They showed that they have the quarterback pieces and they have the defense that will be able to win some games. I think that Kansas win was a pretty big one. Kansas is one of the better teams, I think, in the Big 12. And again, Missouri handled them pretty soundly, so that was good to see. All right, so going into this week, first off, at 12 p.m. on ABC, Alabama opens as a 20.5-point favorite against Wisconsin. Excuse me. I do think Alabama at home will be really good in this game. Wisconsin's going to probably try to bleed some clock, try to make this as short of a game as possible. But I really do think that Alabama will win and cover. This team, I just think, is primed for a pretty good game against Wisconsin here. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with the speed of Alabama. Next, you have at 12:45 South Alabama versus at Auburn. Excuse me. And Auburn's a 24.5-point favorite. I do think Auburn comes out and puts on a show for their fans. I expect a lot of passing in this game to guys like Coleman on the outside. I do have Auburn winning. I do think Auburn covers as well. Next, you have 3:30 p.m. on ABC. You have Georgia going at Tennessee. This game is going to be awesome. This one really comes down to Stockton's really first time starting on the road in an environment like this. I think Tennessee's going to be rowdy and crazy. They've been playing super good this year with Aguilar. It just kind of comes down to what QB can manage the game the best. And then also, again, can Georgia keep the momentum calm in the game and kind of control the game, especially early on. I do think Georgia wins. I do think Georgia covers. I do think this will be a very tight game, though. Watch out for this one being a very scary fourth quarter game for the Georgia Bulldogs. But they've been really good when it comes to going to Tennessee. They've won multiple times there, and they've pretty much dominated this rivalry overall lately. So I do think that Georgia will get the win. Next, you have Louisiana going to Missouri at 4 p.m. I think Missouri opens as a 27.5-point favorite. I do think Missouri wins this game and that they cover. Again, this team's just kind of on fire right now. I think they're going to come out throwing that ball an insane amount. 6 p.m. we have Alcorn State going to Mississippi State, who just got that big win over Arizona State last week. Huge win for that program. I do think Mississippi State follows that up and wins that game. Next, you have Arkansas going at Ole Miss. This one always tends to be closer than some think it should be. Either way, whatever team's better. I do see Ole Miss winning this game. I do think they actually do cover. I think it will come down to the ending with like a field goal kind of thing that helps them to cover. But I do see Ole Miss finding a way to win. I think Simmons at quarterback struggled with some turnovers, but I think if he can get those straightened out, he's a really good QB, and they'll win this game. Huge ones, the 7:30 p.m. prime time on ABC. You have the Florida Gators going at LSU. This was expected to be a top 15 matchup, maybe even a top 10 matchup. But again, Florida really struggled against USF, and USF stole one in the swamp. So going into this game, LSU, at the time of this video, is a 9.5 point favorite. I expect that number to go down a little bit. Most likely to, I would say, probably 7.5 by the time it gets to kickoff, maybe. But this is a big one. These teams always play each other tough. Florida beat LSU at home last year. Again, LSU went in thinking high hopes of even a potential playoff, and then Florida just walked in, or had Florida like walked into the swamp and just beat them pretty good, winning by like 11 points. I do see this year though that I think Florida's going to fight hard. I think they're going to play hard, but I don't think they're going to have the firepower to keep up with LSU on the road for a full game. I do think LSU wins. I actually do think LSU would cover at this number. I think they're going to like win by like exactly 10, maybe 13 kind of situation. But I think LSU just has more in the tank, especially coming off of their win last week against Louisiana Tech. I feel like their Coach Kelly specifically leaned into them quite a bit, and I think they're going to be ready to go. So I'll pick LSU. Next at 7:30 p.m. NBC, we have Texas A&M going to Notre Dame. Notre Dame opens as a 6.5 point favorite. This game is going to be awesome. Both of these teams want to run the football and be really efficient and play really good defense. They're literally coached the same exact way. I do think Notre Dame gets the win, though. I think just being at home, that's really the big difference for me. But these teams are super balanced. I could see this being a super, super competitive game. Next year, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Michigan goes to Kentucky. I think Kentucky puts on a show in this one, especially coming off of their tough game against Ole Miss, which they lost, and I think Kentucky puts on a show here, gets that win. And then we have Vandy at South Carolina. People are not paying attention to this game. It's a 7:45 p.m. kickoff on SEC Network, so there's going to be a lot of good games. You have the Florida LSU game, the Vandy South Carolina game, and then also that Texas A&M Notre Dame game all on at the same time. I do think this Vandy and South Carolina game is very not getting enough respect. I think Pavia is crazy. I think he could go on the road and cause some issues for the Gamecocks. I do have the Gamecocks winning at the end, but watch this be a classic for the SEC season. This one could be real close. Last games here. Again, pretty big spread total. So you have Oklahoma going to Temple, kind of weird. They're 24.5 point favorites. I think they do win and cover. And then also we have Texas playing UTEP at home at 4:15, and they're a 41.5 point favorite. I don't know if they cover. That's a pretty big spread. I'm gonna say yes that they will cover, but it's gonna be super close. Texas is just kind of. It looks like Sarkisian was pretty upset. And just kind of upset with how they started the year, so I'll pick Texas to cover, but that's uncomfortably close. But overall, again, a fantastic season. It should be really good moving forward. Expect some big, big games and some big upsets this weekend. It shows a lot that, based on my predictions, this week could be one of those chaos weeks with how close games go. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and look out for more content next week. Bye.